now the biggest and fastest growing business and marketplace news podcast, Idiots versus Idiots, is now talking about it. It's all buzz, baby.
There you go. All right.
Well, I want to tell you about something. I'm not sure if you know this about Idiots versus Idiots. We are death peddlers. That is right. We peddle the death of plastic pollution. Not only does Liquid Death murder your thirst, 10% of every can sold goes to end plastic pollution. And frankly, my friends, it is a superior watery delivery system. Use code IDIOTS10 on liquiddeath.com and you will get 2 free koozies with your order. Are you ready for the next story, big man?
I am, but I got to say, just because we are a business and marketplace, the fact that we got Liquid Death as a sponsor and their whole marketing, Liquid Death being water or whatever, is wonderful to me. Like, I appreciate it so much.
True story. I was a huge fan of Liquid Death and their marketing before we got them as a sponsor. Interesting fact. I was so enthralled by their marketing. I sent the video to Big Man and I said, isn't this hilarious? And 6 months later, we ended up starting a podcast. And 3 months later after that, I, of course, I track down all the stories. I do all the copywriting. I write all the ad reads, all this other stuff. In addition, I got us the sponsor.
And doesn't complain at all, folks.
I never complain. I'm just informing. I'm just reminding everybody who's doing all the heavy lifting here.
That's a fat joke. Go ahead.
It's not a fat joke, but I do want to talk about something. March Madness, now we're into April here, but the expectation, the projected spend on March Madness gambling.
Well, March Madness is not completely over. We haven't played the No.
Can I
We're
tell you
going
something?
into Final Four, but all right.
March is over. March is over. First of all. Second of all, I don't watch basketballs.
You don't watch most balls.
That's correct. I don't watch any balls. Not interested in balls.
Not a big fan of balls.
That's your thing. I'm not judging your choices. This is America. We're all God's children. God bless.
Well, and
I'm not into balls.
We didn't just jump into being a sports show. What he's really talking about is March Madness betting. Okay?
That's right.
That's what he's talking about. Is March Madness betting now apparently legal in 25 states. I did not know that until we started looking at this. I mean, I knew it was legal in several places, but I did not know that half the country was now able to bet.
I'm going to tweet Governor Abbott and see if we can't do something about getting a little more.
Yeah, good luck with that. Texas will be one of the last states to do it just out of spite. You know what I mean?
It makes there's only one thing that the state lacks, and it's Las Vegas. So
well, and look, here's the deal. Look, this, and you've talked about this before. We've said this before. Any state that has lottery, any state that has bingo, pull tabs, all these different gambling-esque things, and don't legalize gaming is the dumbest thing in the world, right? Like,
It doesn't make any sense,
right? Yeah. But
if you can buy a Powerball ticket in Texas, which you can,
right?
Why can't you place a small wager? And there's other things in Texas that are defined as they're borderline gambling. If you open up a card room in Texas, you have to get county permission or city permission.
They're getting loopholes under the club, right? Like it's a club. Like the house doesn't take a rake, right?
If you don't rake,
how they make money is through memberships and hourly fees and stuff like that. So there's some of that, and as long as those don't get too crazy, they probably won't crack. But look, here's the thing: March Madness, you've got your 2 big players in this that are the ones that expand. You got DraftKings, which went public not too terribly long ago. Well, it went public. It's DKNG. It's currently about $63, and you have Barstool Sports. Now, Barstool Sports is not necessarily a publicly traded company. It was acquired by a publicly traded company, PENN, Penn National Gaming. Right?
It was acquired. I don't think they were totally acquired. I think it was only a part.
Yeah, it was 36%, right, back in January of 2020. But so with a contract that if Barstool Sports ends up continuing to grow, that they can get a bigger chunk for a set price, right, which is how a lot of acquisitions. But
and
they get to be part of a publicly traded company, and since Barstool Sports, which is the app, right, the application betting, the betting on your phone, right, that kind of stuff.
Barstool Bets, I think it is.
Yes, and since that acquisition, Penn's prices are up over 400%. It's $107 a share. So this application betting, online betting, betting on your phone, this kind of thing. March Madness just happens to be the current big part of it.
My illustrious co-host, just means app. He doesn't mean application like you're going to fill out an application.
Okay. Application is what
for
app
a job
stands
at
for.
Kmart.
Application is what app stands for.
I know,
My point, though, is... Okay.
I know.
All right. Well,
you're just 100 years old.
Generation Xers understand what I'm talking about. All right.
Yeah.
Calm down, you millennial. All right.
Okay. Well,
the point though is we're talking about in 2019, which everybody compares 2019 because in 2020 everything shut down.
Yeah.
So in 2019,
2020 was a gap year. 2020 is not a real year.
There were almost 37 million bets done through some kind of app. Right? 37 million bets. Now think about, that's not the dollar amount. That's just how many bets
there were. Yeah. That's wild.
I mean, you're talking about, even if it was averaged out to $10 a bet, you're talking about a $250 billion, right? Of money betting online. And it was way more than that, right? So it's considered to just continue to go. They're estimating in 2020 that 31 million bets are going to be made in March alone because of the widespread of these, right? The widespread of these going to new states, new places, that kind of stuff.
And Barstool Bets or the Barstool Sports Book, I think those are two different things, but the Barstool Sports Book is slowly going to all 25 states where sports betting is legal. They will be in all 25 states. Their merger with Penn National Gaming, and Portnoy said this from the beginning. He said the goal was to be in gambling. Sports betting was the goal, right? And the content side of it, which is what Chernin, which is their initial investor, was what Chernin acquired. What they were investing in was the content, but their goal was always gambling. So that's interesting.
Well, look, and here's the deal: the problem with online betting traditionally has been, and their glass ceiling of making money is online betting started out very specific, right? Who wins this game, right? Here's the spread, here's whatever. But that's not where Vegas or any of these other sports books makes their money. They make their money on I'm forgetting the term right now. It's come on. It's not proposition bets. Where they make their money is called proposition bets. Where you can bet on, like, what was it? Baseball started this week, right? First day. You could bet on, did the New York Yankees are going to be the first team to hit a home run during the first game.
So these sucker bets.
Prop bets. Right.
Sucker bets,
but if they hit because they're big, huge numbers. You can pick which pitcher is going to, throw the first game. You can do whatever.
So I'm not a gambler at all. I've never gambled in my entire life. However, let's just presume I know a friend who used to gamble a lot.
Uh-huh.
And that friend would go play a lot of blackjack. And they always, on a lot of blackjack tables, they'll have, on some, where this friend of mine that I know endearing terms about, like, but he would go, and sometimes they'd have the over-under bet. And any of the degenerate gamblers know that is, it's a sucker bet.
It's a sucker bet. It's a sucker bet, 100% sucker bet. But when it hits,
but that person bet a lot on the over under and was correct a lot, and so that person bought a Pontiac Bonneville because he was correct on over under bet.
Well, the Super Bowl wasn't too long ago, and I had a buddy that lost $20K because he bet on the coin toss. Heads or tails. You talk about a prop bet. You pick one. He lost $20,000. He bet tails. 50, it was heads. Okay.
Hey.
But still, that's where Vegas makes its money, right? Is the proposition bets. Which wide receiver is going to do this? Who's going to have the first touchdown? Who's going to have, because they can have endless. They can have endless bets and people generating those bets and money, and their ultimate money. So what's made is now these apps have now become more of a widespread sports book, and it's opened up these proposition type bets, right? And this kind of stuff. So you can have a state out there, and I'm sure there's several of these 13 new states that even though they don't have a casino in their state yet, they've approved online betting.
Yeah,
right?
And then Yeah, and I just think that that's only half the country. Okay,
It's
that
only half.
it might not even be half, but what I mean is like half the states because 50% of America's population lives in two counties. So
Right. Well, and look, here's the point. It's going to grow, right? And
yeah,
then
it's
these
only going to
stocks are going to
grow.
reflect that growth because
Of
it's all about
course.
income, right? And that
And
kind
we're
of
not
stuff.
here to give stock advice, but we're just saying, hey, hypothetically speaking.
I'm not here to give stock advice, but I can also spot trends. Again, I
Yeah.
would never tell anybody what to do with their money, but I'm saying
Well,
is,
yeah.
you
You
know,
would never tell anybody what to do with their money, except every time before we start these Zoom calls, you force me to go through my budget, personal budget, and talk about where I've spent money this week. Like you're my dad,
okay, I'll go back to the fact that one of us is a, successful
wealthy person.
businessman, and
Yeah.
the other one is jealous. Now, which one of us is which, I never say,
Yeah.
but I'm
Right.
just saying that's all it is.
I'm only Indian, part of the America cross section of America that tends to be pretty wealthy. So, and one of
You
us is wearing a
millennials.
cow. One of us is wearing a cowboy hat. So we'll figure out who's who.
Woohoo!
Right. Well, I just no. The reason I included the story, I am not a sports person. Don't care about sports at all. I've talked about this. Don't care about balls. I'm not into it. If that's your deal, God bless you. But I don't care. But when I saw that figure, $8.5 billion,
Yep.
I'm into that. I'm into any like if I could bet on M&A, I would do it. Right?
Well, and that's all of this. I mean, that people
Yeah.
think football, they think basketball, but
Yeah. You
baseball
can bet on
is big
anything.
betting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? MMA
They
is
will
big
take your
betting.
money. Any of these betting outfits will take your money for anything.
Well,
Right?
and look Vegas. They say Vegas always wins. I don't know what alien calculation they have going on in Vegas where they come up with all these odds and they move them during the week based on betting and all this. And you have all these different sports betting podcasts out there that all have their theories and their,
Of
what I mean,
course.
whatever. But man, oh man, there are people that make a crap ton of money betting, and there's people that lose a crap ton of money betting. The point is an app like Barstool Sports or DraftKings or whatever, they're
Right.
making money whether you lose or win, right? It's all about
That's right.
transaction fees and advertising and whatever.
Of course. They're going to figure out how to
making
get
money
paid.
either way.
That's
And
totally
if
right.
they're making money and you're an investor in those companies, you're making money too, right? So
Right.
I think I look, I'm a big fan of actually the DraftKings app. I think they have with their, because we are a business and marketplace news podcast, they have done very well with their business marketing and things of that
True.
nature. They have gone full into fantasy football, which we all
Right.
know is king, right? That's why it's called DraftKings, is it started out as a fantasy football type of app where you can, do your fantasy football on
I mean,
it.
I think they knew they were a little they had a little bit of a prediction. They were betting that online sports betting was going to become more and more prevalent, more legal. And so they realized if we establish ourselves as an incumbent player and we turn on the betting side of things, which is what people really want to do, that they would build that on. It's something that the big man talks about all the time that makes me want to go to sleep under a bridge the rest of my life. Well, if you build yourself an audience, tell you what.
You know it's true. That's the
True.
whole reason. Okay.
It's true, but I don't want to hear you talk about it anymore.
But the fact is if you just said it, if I can build people that want to bet
Yes.
in the fall on football, they're going to
That's
want to
correct.
bet in the spring on baseball or
That's
on
correct.
basketball. They're going to
Yep.
want to bet in the summer on baseball, and so
right.
on and so forth.
So
Okay?
it's and the thing about gamblers is they want to gamble.
Well,
Like
and it never
yeah.
stops. They want to gamble on the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Yeah.
So they did. They found their people, and that's what got it. And now you're talking about $1 billion industry that really only has two big players in it, right?
Right.
And the way they're going forward, look, you don't have these Las Vegas casinos trying to build one in Austin, Texas. It's too expensive. The land's too expensive to build. It's too expensive. It's too expensive to maintain. But if Texas was ever going to allow, it's going to be these apps, right?
Yeah.
And then just tax it. And that's what it is about these states, right? Which is why I say Texas will be one of the last. The states that get on board with this very quickly, look, probably if you were to look at the states that need money, it's a lot of these states on this list, right?
Right.
Because you need money, you need taxes on this, you need to pay a fee, whatever.
Right.
Texas doesn't quite need it. It's one of the reasons you don't have a lot of things in Texas, because the argument is always, well, do this and you get this, right? From a state standpoint, whatever.
You get a taxable result, or you can tax on something.
Texas is not one of those states that,
and it bums
money.
me out. It bums me out because I hate having to charter a jet or something like that. If I'm trying to go up to the WinStar, I'm saying my friend who likes to gamble, he wants to go throw some cards around. He has to fly up to WinStar. I mean, who's getting in the car and making a 4-hour drive? Only a degenerate does that. He has to go play on a gambling boat somewhere in Louisiana or somewhere on the Redneck Riviera in Alabama.
How did that happen? Like the river boats, and people, if you don't know, if you ever gamble in Louisiana, the only place that it's legal is technically on the river. So you have these hotels that are built on riverbanks. You walk down a big ramp to go from the hotel to the gambling casino, which is technically floating on the river, but it's really not. It's a stationary object.
Well,
but it makes it legal in Louisiana. So
that it does. The logic is it's simply this much. The government is like an organism, and every time it makes a law, it's like you broke an arm. Your muscles in your body, if you break an arm, will compensate for that broken arm in one way or another.
Sure.
And so the government said you can't have a casino on the land, but the waterways, on the other hand.
Riverboat gambling, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.